This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi. We're learning Sefer Ezra. We're starting Parak Beis. And we're talking about the names of the people who went up from Bavel in the times of Ezra. Now, Rabbi there are going to be a lot of names. It's going to be a long list of names. So, just hold with us. We're going to start again, Parak Beis. Parak Beis, Pasuk Aleph, Eila b'nei HaMedina. These are the people of the province. These are the people of the Medina Eretz Yisrael, who are going up now from captivity, who were exiled from Yerushalayim. Ha'olam mishavi ha'goyla, who are coming up from the captivity of the exile. Asher hegla Nebuchadnezzar melech Bavel l'Bavel. That Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Bavel, had exiled them to Bavel. Vayashuva liYerushalayim, and they returned to Yerushalayim. V'Yehuda, Rashi learns, the people who lived in the region of Yehuda returned to Yerushalayim. Ish le'iroi, each man to his city.
They didn't go to Yerushalayim, they went to this.
How many years were they in there?
70 years.
Oh, 70 years.
70 years. Asher bo'u im Zerubbabel. They came with Zerubbabel. Now, the Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin, on Daf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph, identifies Zerubbabel as Nehemiah. The Gemara in Sanhedrin, Lamed Ches Amud Aleph, says who's Zerubbabel? Zerubbabel is Zerubbabel ben Shaltiel, that he is Nehemiah. Rav Yaakov Emden, in his Hagoyis on Masechta Sanhedrin, asked two questions on this. One question is from this pasuk, because we're going to see who came with Zerubbabel. Yeshua 1, Nehemiah 2. So obviously Nehemiah is not Zerubbabel. Right. And also later on in Sefer Nehemiah, Rabbi Yaakov Emden asks, it says Nehemiah and Zerubbabel separately. So Rabbi Yaakov Emden has a problem with this Gemara in Masechta Sanhedrin, that they were two different, that they were one and the same, that Zerubbabel was Nehemiah. He brings down over here that the Rambam and the Meiri and the Barbanel and the Bartanura, they say that Zerubbabel and Nehemiah were different people, which is the simple meaning of this pasuk, right? You look at the simple meaning of the pasuk, it would certainly imply that Zerubbabel and Nehemiah are different people. So who came with Zerubbabel?
If they came to Bavel 70 years before.
Yes.
So they're now in about 90, 100, coming back.
Well, right, they're obviously more than 70, right? They would have to be more than 70. Well, okay, so now, Rabbi Isai, now, these people...
Yeah. The Gemara, base himself that...
Why does the Gemara say that's Nehemiah?
That's right. They must have a reason... another reason, a background someplace that's the same place, not that it is the same person.
So the reason is, good. So the answer is that Nehemiah was born in Bavel. Zerubbabel means planted, conceived in Bavel. So Nehemiah was given the name Zerubbabel, so he actually was not exiled to Bavel. He was born in Bavel.
Yeah, but you probably realize this. In Divrei Yomim, he was the descendant of King Yehoiachin.
Yehoiachin, yeah. Zerubbabel was the descendant of Yehoiachin.
He was for father who referred to Zerubbabel ben
Shaltiel. Right. So what we're saying is Nehemiah did not.
He was a major leader during the restoration of Bayis Sheni.
Correct.
So how?
Correct. So he was not born in Eretz Yisrael. He was born in Bavel. That's why he's given the name Zerubbabel. Okay?
But Nehemiah came later.
What came later than who?
Zerubbabel. Zerubbabel, the first group of Jews.
So we're saying
Bavel included Zerubbabel as a leader, who was from Malchus. Okay? Later on, Ezra and Nehemiah seemed to come later.
Ezra came later, because the Gemara says in Megillah that he did not leave as long as his Rebbe Baruch was alive. Right. But Nehemiah may have come before. Nehemiah may have come before. Okay? Now, all the people mentioned in this pasuk, the Mefarshim learn, are part of the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah.
Also,
Okay? The Machzor Vitri on Perkei Avos says that everyone mentioned in this pasuk, pasuk Aleph, pasuk Beis, are members of the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah.
Didn't Ezra and Nehemiah start the
return?
The Anshe Knesset Hagdolah.
Ezra came later, because
So it's
according to the Gemara, now as we're going to see, it's a machlekes between the Bavli and the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. According to Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, I saw Ezra is returning also here. Even though Ezra is not mentioned here, Ezra is returning. According to the Gemara, Masechta Megillah, Ezra does not return until after a year that they started building the Beis HaMikdash. Because the Gemara says, we learn from Ezra that Limud HaTorah is more important than Binyan Beis HaMikdash, because Ezra did not go up until his Rebbe passed away. And why didn't his Rebbe go up? His Rebbe was too old to go. Okay? So who's coming with Zerubbabel? Yeshua, Nehemiah, Seraya, Re'elaya, Mordechai Bilshan. Now Mordechai Bilshan is one word, is one name. Why is Mordechai called Bilshan? Bil Lashon. He could mix up the languages.
He knew all the language.
Right, he knew all the languages, and also he could recognize anything you say because he understood that all languages are just mixtures of various roots. And if Mordechai could hear anybody say anything, he was able to figure out what it meant. He can mix up the languages. Mispar Bigvai, one of the people who came out, his name was Mispar Bigvai, that's one name. Another name was Rechum, and another name was Ba'ana. Mispar Anshe B'nai Yisrael. This is the number Anshe. Now Anshe, right? You remember by the Meraglim, it says Kulam Anoshim. What does Rashi say there? Rashi says Kol Anoshim Shebemikra Lashoin Chashivos. Whenever it says Anoshim, that always means important people. Right. So Mispar, this is the number Anshe Am Yisrael, of the dignitaries of Bnei Yisrael. Now the Malbim explains that there were two waves of exiles. The dignitaries were exiled along with Yehoiachin. That was the first wave of exile by Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar exiled the king Yehoiachin together with the dignitaries. And then later on, with the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, Tzidkiyahu was exiled together with all the commoners. So this is referring to the first wave of the dignitaries. Okay. And now we're going to give a list of various family members who were exiled.
As an aside, when and how did the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah start? Back in Babel?
Where? What point of time?
What time? It's not for now necessarily, but
okay, we'll see if we get if the Navi is going to recount to us the exact development of it. So the Malbim and all the Mefarshim point out that everything we're about to read now is repeated almost word for word in Sefer Nehemiah. So we're about to have, you'll see, look in the, if you skim through the psukim, we have about another 65 psukim now of names. These names and numbers of people are repeated basically word for word in Nehemiah. But there are going to be discrepancies. There are going to be people here that don't appear there. There are going to be people that appear there that don't appear here. The numbers don't fit exactly, but the sum total of numbers here in Ezra will equal exactly the sum total of numbers in Nehemiah. The Malbim says that the main point in the difference is that over here the pasuk says Melech Bavel, Li Bavel. In Sefer Nehemiah it says Nebuchadnezzar exiled them, but it doesn't say Lebavel.
So these are the dignitaries of the...
So when Nebuchadnezzar exiled the first wave, he exiled the dignitaries. The dignitaries he exiled to Bavel. Bavel is the capital of his empire. But later on, he exiled everybody, and he didn't say go to Bavel, to the capital. He said go anywhere under my auspices. So they went to more of the extremities of his dominion. Others learn that this is the counting of the people who returned in the beginning, and then later on, after the fact, Nehemiah recounted them. So obviously there are going to be discrepancies because people are born and people die. But you're going to see the sum total in Sefer Ezra is going to be exactly the same as the sum total in Nehemiah, even though the numbers of each family are going to be slightly different. Okay, so Pasuk Gimel. Bnei Parosh, the sons of Parosh. Now, Rashi says, Bnei Parosh, some of the people here are mentioned by the patriarch of the family, and some of them are mentioned based on the city they come from. Okay? So some of the families are going to be identified by the head of the household, and others are going to be identified by the city they come from. So the Malbim explains which people are mentioned by the names of their patriarch, and which people are mentioned by the city. So Malbim says like this. The Malbim says that those people who came back as part of a family unit, but everyone from the family came from different cities, they're mentioned by the head of the family. Those people who are not coming back as members of a family, so they're listed as the city of origin. Okay? So let's see Pasuk Gimel. Bnei Parosh, the sons of Parosh, Alpayim, 2,000, Mea, Shivim, Ushnayim, 2,172. Bnei Shaftaya, from the returnees of the family of Shaftaya, Shalosh Meosh, Shivim, Ushnayim, 372. Bnei Oirach. Now, Rabbi say, if you ever learned Masechta Tainis, the Masechta Tainis, on Daf Chavav, these families are listed as the families who used to donate wood to the Beis HaMikdash.
Oh, they were the Goyim.
And the families, there was a time when there was no firewood for the Mizbeach. These families were the ones who donated, and because of that they were rewarded that on certain intervals during the year, only their families were allowed to bring wood for the Mizbeach.
But weren't they the Goyim that fooled Yeshua and he made a treaty? And they had them.
No. Those were the Gevinim. Those were the Gevinim.
These aren't the.
These are regular Jews who, at a certain time, when there was no wood for the Mizbeach, they donated, and because of that, their families were rewarded. The Gemara in Masechta Taina says that they were from Bnei Parosh, Arach, were from Shevet Yehuda.
The Sinim are mentioned here in Pasuk Mem Gimel.
Pasuk what?
Pasuk Mem Gimel, and the Sinim, they
Oh yeah?
No?
Right, correct. Yeah.
This is the same one.
No, there were 10 types of Jews who came in the end.
Right, you're right. The Nesinim were the wood choppers. But the ones who donated the wood for the Mizbeach, they were regular. They chopped the wood. Right.
These are people who went to Torah and came back with Ezra, or with Rabbi, whoever it was, and they came back to their jobs. In other words, they maintained their jobs.
The Nesinim, yes. Good, right. Pasuk Daled. Bnei Shefataya. Bnei Shefatia, correct. Shlosh Meo Shivim Ushnaim, 372. Bnei Arach. Shiva Meos Chamisha V'Shivim. So the children of Arach, 775. Bnei Pachas Moav, the sons of the governor of Moav. That's very interesting. Livnei Yeshua, the sons of Yeshua. Yoav. And Yoav, you read it? Alpayim 2,000 Shmoinim 800 to Shnei Masar and 12. Now, what are the Bnei Pachas Moav? We're talking about Jews over here. Who are the Bnei Pachas Moav? So the Gemara Masechta Taina says that this family were descendants of David HaMelech. Others say they were the descendants of David HaMelech's sister. Who was David's sister? Sruya. So either way, why is this family called the governor, the children of the governor of Moav? Because where did David come from? David came from Rus. Rus was royalty of Moav. So the family of either David or Sruya, their descendants were known as the children of the governor of Moav. 2,812. This is the Gemara Masechta Tainis and Daf Chav Ches. Is there a Tainis here?
Sure.
Where is the Masechta Tainis?
There'll be a Tainis next month.
Next month.
Friday also. Why don't you look over here?
Where?
The Gemara's over here. Shots
On the bottom there is some, in various places.
There's a full shots, big shots there. On your left, there's a big shot. So the Tanis would be one of many.
In any event, the Gemara Masechta Tainis Daf Chav Ches says that since David HaMelech came from Rus, therefore the descendants were known as Bnei Pachas Moav. Okay, Pasuk Zayin. Bnei Elam, the sons of Elam, Elef, 1,000, Mosayim 200, Chamishim Yarban, 54. Bnei Zatu, Tisha Meos, 900, V'arbam B'chamisha, and 45. By the way, in Nehemiah, their number is given as 845. Pasuk Tes, Bnei Zakoi, Shiva Meos V'shishim, 760. 760. Pasuk Yud, Bnei Vani, Sheish Meos Arba Mishnayim, 642. In Nehemiah, the number is 648, not 642. 648. So Masechta Tainis, let's take a look over here. This is in Daf Chav Ches Amud Aleph. So the Tosfos just says what we mentioned: Bnei Pachas Moav, Hein Bnei David, Ulekach Nikru Bnei Pachas Shabo Meirus HaMoaviyah. They came from Rus. They came from Rus. And the Gemara brings a machlokes. Who are the Bnei Pachas Moav ben Yehuda? Some say Hein Bnei David, and that's Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Yossi say Yayav ben Sruya. Okay. Bnei Vani Sheish Meos Arba Mishnayim, 642. Pasuk Yud Aleph.
Because I think Yeshua is after all Yehoshua, who was the Kohen Gadol, right? Because he was Yeshua Kohen HaGadol, if you look in Ibn Ezra.
Where do you look?
Pasuk Beis, he says, Asher Ba'u Im Zerubbabel Yeshua. Now Yeshua turns up again in Pasuk Vav.
No, so the Yeshua,
The same spelling.
the Yeshua in Pasuk Beis is not the Yeshua in Pasuk Vav. The Yeshua in Pasuk Beis is Yeshua Kohen Gadol.
Yeah.
The Yeshua in Pasuk Vav is a descendant of Yehuda, of David. So he couldn't have been he wasn't a Kohen even, right? So it's a different Yeshua. Bnei Vevai, the descendants of Vevai, Sheish Meos, 600, Esther Mishloisha, and 23. Bnei, now in Nehemiah, it's 628. One more, Bnei Azgad, Masayim Esther Mishnayim, 222.
Where's that?
Bnei Azgad. By the way, in Nehemiah, it's not 222, it's 2,322. Can you imagine that? In this pasuk in Ezra, it's 222. In Nehemiah, it's 2,322. Okay? So we're up to pasuk Yud Gimel, and we'll try to get through this Mitzvah Shem next.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.